All right. What day are we on? Oh, it's Thursday. Find a comfortable seat to start, unless you want to start in a forward fold. If you're feeling like you need to just shift some stagnant energy right away, feel free to come into that. So, the past few days, we've been uh, highlighting samskaras, which are ingrained habits in mind and thought over time, which make up our conditioning. And yesterday, I shared an article about how the roots of suffering come into play, the roots of suffering as identified by yoga philosophy. When a crisis happens in our lives and our idea of solid ground or normalcy is shaken, broken apart. And the roots of suffering, just a quick review, are delusions of the ego, what we identify as who we are in the roles that we play, aversion to pain, the tendency not to want to leave our comfort zone, fear of death, and death of many kinds, like the death of routines or what we feel is normal to us, ignorance, and attachment to pleasure. So the article brought us through the stages of how these roots of suffering can turn up in our lives when our solid ground is shaken or taken from us. But wonderfully, the author brought in different limbs of yoga. Now, there are 8 limbs of yoga and yoga philosophy, and how they can be used to address each of these roots of suffering as they may come up. So today, I just wanted to kind of encapsulate all of that with a couple of quotes by the late spiritual leader and yogi Ram Dass. He said boldly that suffering only shows where you're attached. That's why, to those on the path, suffering is grace. As long as you think that what you're looking for is outside yourself, it will never be enough. Our whole spiritual transformation brings us to the point where we realize that in our own being, we are enough. And what's beautiful about yoga is that it offers us these various tools of really just redirecting inward, redirecting inward. When our tendency to cling on to a feeling of solid ground goes on to other people, things, situations, and habits, yoga brings us back to ourselves each time through breath as we connect the external mind to our deeper inner self, through even physical postures as we become more aware of our tendencies of holding tension in the body as a result of perhaps tension in the mind. So all these various things, meditation, which is a wonderful way to help us learn patience, to sit and digest what we're going through, even when it's not so pleasant, and to be able to take that context of mindfulness into our daily lives and be able to observe ourselves as we act and think. So all these wonderful tools. So let's refine them, sharpen them, and hopefully use them to continue to transform any habits that we want to turn more helpful to us and to those around us. So find a comfortable seat to start, grounding firmly, lift up the spine, and then just let your hands rest wherever you like, on your lap, on your belly and chest, and close your eyes. As your body becomes still, notice how it might be giving you information through any feeling, any sensation. As we polish our awareness of subtleties, using even felt sense to notice how we might carry emotions within the body. Observe the state of your mind and breath. And taking in all of this at this moment, what would you like to focus on in this practice and today? Setting an intention. Begin to integrate that intention into how you breathe more consciously and deeply. Sounding the breath out through the mouth a few times. Feeling expansion within your body, not only in your lungs as you take in breath, feeling the balance of letting go as you breathe out. As you continue to direct an even flow through your breath, close the lips and start to warm up your body using the pranayama called ujjayi, or victorious breathing. Closing the lips, softly narrowing the back of your throat, and inviting a gentle whisper as you sustain the breath equally through your nose. If your mind feels really active, you can always go into counting. Perhaps 5 as you breathe in, 5 as you breathe out, to just redirect the attention back to the breath, which helps to direct your attention back inward using these tools of yoga. So now as you continue to nurture the breath, let's come down into child's pose. Setting your knees on the floor as you make your way there. I'm just gonna turn the music back on. And as you bring your feet to touch in child's pose, feel free to separate your knees as wide apart as needed so that you can truly drop your pelvis down towards your feet. Then actively stretch your arms forward. Reach through your fingertips and rebound the force to draw your hips further back, stretching into the lower back. Then lengthening the neck as you press the shoulder blades down the back and spread them wider apart. So as your arms are straightening forward actively, notice how your elbows are lifted off the floor. Keeping that from your shoulder sockets, rotate your upper arm bones in order to flip your palms to face up. Feel how the shoulder blades broaden more actively across your back ribs. Now maintain that action of the shoulder blades in which you use your lats, your latissimus dorsi, to stabilize the scapula. And then from your wrists, flip the palms back to face down. Separating your feet a little wider than hips distance where they are in child's pose, tuck your toes, and pressing the palms flat into the floor, lift your hips slowly into downward facing dog. Now continue the rotating of your triceps towards the floor as you start to pedal your feet slowly in place. Gently stretching into the backs of your legs as you drop the skull and look down towards your feet. Might even feel good to turn out a foot from the hip as you straighten the leg and look under that side of your armpit, offering a side body stretch down into the outer hip. And then what you do to one side, balance it off to the other, just as you're balancing the sound of your breath. Let your head hang freely as your hands are actively pressing into the ground and forward so that your hips are lifting up towards the sky and back. Feel the full length of your spine and begin to find stillness in Adho Mukha Svanasana. Breathing in, breathing out. Firm the fronts of your thigh bones back. Breathing in, broadening across the shoulders. And breathing out through the nose, draw the belly in towards the spine. One more deep breath. Now bend your knees, lift your heels high, and as you exhale, step to the front of your mat to stand in a forward fold, keeping the feet generously wide apart, parallel. Bend your knees and reach your hands behind you to interlace your fingers. Try to hug the heels of your palms together. Shift your weight forward, more onto the balls of your feet, and as you firm the belly, lift the chest as though there was a string pulling your sternum way past the front edge of your mat as you look towards the tip of your nose for a few breaths. Now feel free to bend your knees as much as you need here to feel supported in the spine, especially the lower back. Hug the elbows close together. Take another deep breath, lengthen through the sides of your neck, sides of your torso. Then exhale, bow forward, bending the knees as you continue to interlace the fingers up and overhead, stretching the arms away from your back. Now slowly begin to straighten one leg, leaning your torso towards it. Lift your sitting bones towards the sky and drop your skull. Then try interlacing the fingers with the opposite thumb and index finger on top, and then straighten the opposite leg. Leaning your torso towards it, lift the shoulder bones up away from your neck and let your head hang freely. Then coming back through center, bend the knees, press your fingertips either on your legs or the floor, and again imagine that string pulling your sternum forward as you lengthen the spine on an in-breath. Exhale, bow forward. Bend the knees generously, drop the arms and head, and as you breathe in, firm the belly as you roll up, stacking one vertebra at a time. Lifting your head last, rotate the shoulders behind you, exhale them back and down. Firming down through the four corners of your feet in mountain pose. Inhale, circle your arms overhead, get a little taller, interlace your fingers, except your index. Exhale, lift and lean to your right side, firming the left foot to the earth. Firm the belly towards the back. Inhale, rise up, keep pointing through the index. Exhale, lift and lean to your left, grounding the right foot deeper. Inhale up to center. Exhale, open the arms and cactus the elbows apart, coil the chest up. Bend the knees, inhale into a modified chair, reaching the arms forward. Then exhale, shift forward to bow. Inhale, press the ground of your legs, lengthen the spine through the sternum. Plant your fingertips, step the left knee back into a kneeling lunge, untuck the toes. Firm down to your right foot and press your hands on your front thigh to lift the torso and the pelvis upright. Taking about 3 breaths here, scissor your right outer hip towards the rear of your mat slightly. Lift your frontal hip bones towards the bottom of your front ribs slightly, and then soften your shoulders down as you lift the heart. Then inhale, raise the arms overhead, catch hold of your left wrist with your right hand, and lift up through the center of your spine. Relax the shoulders, firm the right foot still, and exhale, side bend to your right. Couple more breaths. Keep firming down through both feet and lift the lower spine from your pelvis. Feel the front ribs hug your back. Exhale, side bend a little further, maintaining the squaring of your hips. Last breath here. Inhale, lift both arms up. Maybe a gentle back bend, lifting the chest. Exhale, place your hands flat on the floor and take plank pose. Let's pause there for a few breaths. Whether your knees are on the ground for support or your legs are straight and you're actively firming the heels back. Stack your shoulders right on top of your wrists and look ahead of your hands as you lengthen your neck. Feel your shoulder blades broaden apart again. Now as you lift the belly, with an exhale, glide forward. Bend your elbows back to hug your side ribs and lower slowly all the way down for cobra. Pointing the toes, ground through your pubic bone, and inhale, lift the chest, soften the shoulders down. Press to your hands and exhale, lift up your pelvis, drawing your hips back, downward facing dog. Take a deep inhale and exhale to your nose. As you inhale, raise the left leg behind you. As you exhale, bend the left knee and turn open at the hip. Inhaling, tack your right hip further back. Exhaling, softly land the left foot directly between your hands, warrior two. Spinning your right heel down, firm through both feet and windmill your arms to rise up. Seeing that you're aligning your left heel to the arch of your right foot, turn your right leg slightly to face the front of your mats as you straighten it. Turn your left leg completely to face the front of your mat as you bend the knee just over the heel. Take another in-breath in warrior two. Then lift up through the sides of your waist and exhale, sweep the left palm overhead towards the rear of your mat in peaceful warrior, another side bend. Inhale, come back to warrior two. Keep the bend in the left knee and slide your hips towards the rear of your mat. Exhale, reach the left arm forward and place the forearm or hand on your left thigh, raising the right arm up and overhead towards the front of your mat, rotating the tricep towards the right wall. Now feel the length in both sides of your torso as you draw both hips towards the rear of your mats. Let's try one more cycle of this. Inhale, rise up to warrior two. Exhale, flip the left palm back to peaceful warrior. Inhale, up to warrior two. Exhale, left forearm to thigh, right arm overhead, side angle. Take a deep breath and look down at your left foot. Exhale, lower your fingertips to frame it and step to the top of your mat, forward folds. Inhale, press your legs to the floor, lengthen halfway up. Exhale, fold in. Firm down through your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead, rising tall. Exhale, trace your thumbs down your center line. Second side, inhale, raise the arms overhead, interlacing except the index. To your left, side bend. Root the right foot down. Inhale, up to center. To your right, exhale, side bend. Root the left foot down. Inhale, back to center. Cactus the arms. Exhale, lift the chest. Drop the tailbone downward. Inhale, bend the knees. Sweep the arms forward. Modified chair. Lean into your heels. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lift through the sternum, lengthen the spine. Exhale, step right knee back into a kneeling lunge. Untuck the toes. From the left foot down and press your hands into your front thigh. Inhale, lift your torso and pelvis upright. About 3 breaths here. So feel as though you're scissoring your legs without visibly moving them. You're drawing your left outer hip back, engaging the lower abdomen to slightly lift your frontal hip bones and turn the tailbone downward, lifting the heart, but relaxing the shoulders. Stay rooted through your legs and inhale, raise your arms, lengthen the sides of your torso. Catch hold of your right wrist with your left hand and exhale, begin to side bend to the left. Keeping the left foot still, breathe in, lift the lower spine from your pelvis. Breathe out, side bend a little more. Last couple of breaths. Opening up into the psoas, a deep place where we can often tuck emotions like stress. Then inhale, lift the spine upright and lower your hands flat. Step into your version of plank. Pausing in plank for 1 in breath. Lift the sides of your waist, look forward. Exhale, shift forward, lower through Chaturanga Dandasana. Whether you lower all the way down for Cobra or halfway down for Upward Dog, breathe in to lift the chest. Then exhale to Downward Facing Dog. There, take a deep inhale. Through the nose, exhale. Inhale, raise your right leg behind you. As you exhale, bend the right knee and turn open at the hip. Inhaling, tack the left hip further back. Exhale, lightly step the right foot directly between your hands. Spin the back heel down and inhale, windmill the arms to rise into warrior two. See that your right heel aligns to the arch of your left foot. Feel that your left leg is slightly spinning inward to face the front of your mat. Your right leg turns out completely as you bend the knee just over the heel. Now keep that stance in your legs and take another breath in warrior two. Flip the right palm to face up and lift through the sides of your waist before sweeping the right arm overhead towards the rear of your mat. Keeping the same bend in your right knee, peaceful warrior. Inhale, come back to warrior two. Sweep the pelvis towards the rear of your mat, reach the right forearm or hand onto your right thigh and sweep the left arm overhead towards the front of your mat. Extended side angle. Wrapping your left tricep towards the left wall. Press the 2 hips towards the back of your mat. Take another inhale to rise, warrior two. Keep the same bend in the right knee. Exhale, sweep the right palm, peaceful warrior. Inhale, back to warrior two. Exhale, right forearm to thigh, side angle pose. Pause here. Look at your right foot, breathe in. Exhale, lower the 2 sets of fingertips and step your left foot forward. Let your feet touch at the top. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, circle the arms to rise tall. This time, watch the palms touch. And exhale, bring them together at your heart. Sun salutation B, a continuous flow. Inhale, bend your knees together, sit back towards your heels in full chair. Exhale, shift forward to fold. Inhale, lift the sternum, look forward. Step or lightly jump through plank, lowering to chaturanga. Breathe into cobra or upward facing dog. Breathe out, downward facing dog. Inhale, raise the right leg. Exhale, step the foot just inside your right hand. Spin the back heel down but face forward. Inhale, rise to warrior one. Exhale, lower from plank through chaturanga dandasana. Inhale to cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing. Second side. Inhale, raise your left leg. Exhale, step the foot forward to the left, spin the right heel down. Face forward, inhale, rise to warrior one. Exhale, lower from plank through chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or upward dog. Exhale, downward facing. Let's stay here for 3 to 5 breaths. Pausing in child's pose if you need to rest in a different way. Nurturing space in the breath and connection between the external mind and the deeper sense of self. Bend your knees, look in front of your hands. End of your breath, walk or float, feet together at the top. Inhale, lift the sternum and look forward. Exhale, bow in. Bend your knees together. Inhale, shift your weight back in chair pose. Exhale to rise up. Last time, Surya Namaskar B. Inhale, sit low in Utkatasana, chair pose. Exhale, fold Uttanasana. Inhale, lift the sternum, Ardha Uttanasana. Step or lightly jump back to lower into your vinyasa. Breathing in, breathing out to downward dog. Inhale, raise your right leg. Exhale the foot forward to the right, spin the back heel down. Inhale, rise, warrior one. Exhale, lower into your vinyasa. Inhale. Exhale to downward dog. Inhale, raise the left leg. Exhale, step the foot inside the left hand, spin the right heel down. Face forward. Inhale, rise to warrior one. Exhale, lower through plank into your vinyasa. Again, let's meet in downward dog for 3 to 5 breaths. Using our body as instrument to open not only it, the body, not only the breath, but our mind, our awareness, as you pause to observe any slightest shift you might feel since the start of your physical practice. Now bending the knees, look ahead of your hands. End of your exhale, lightly land at the top. Feet touch. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, fold in. Bend the knees to touch. Inhale, chair pose. We're gonna balance in a hip opener here. So join your hands together at your heart in chair and shift your weight onto your left foot. Flexing your right foot, turn out your right leg from the hip and cross the ankle over your left thigh. Pressing against the thigh to turn out your right thigh. Begin to draw both sitting bones evenly back and down. Now feel the slight lift of your navel towards your spine as you lift the heart and relax the shoulders. You've got 3 to 4 more breaths here if you want to raise the arms If you want to move into a brief arm balance and set your hands down for flying single pigeon, breathing in, breathing out, steadiness, awareness. Now, taking your time when you're ready, rejoin your hands at your heart, rise to stand on just your left foot, lift your right knee in front, and find your balance as you balance your two hips. Flexing the right foot, step your right foot all the way to the rear of your mat, passing through Warrior 3, where you parallel your spine and right leg to the floor. You might stay in Warrior 3 for a few breaths, or just one, but eventually landing the right foot all the way to the rear of your mat and pivoting both feet to face the wide edge of your mats so that we can actually pivot to face the rear of the mat. So that right foot becomes the front leg. From there, straighten both legs for triangle. Open the arms. Slide your hips towards your left foot. Reach the right hand past your right knee and lower it down to your right leg or just to the right side of your leg, maybe using a block, where you can wrap the right sitting bone underneath your body and see that the middle of your right knee and the middle right toe are tracing the midline of your mat to face the rear edge. While you might be looking up towards your left thumb, press both hips and both shoulders back towards your rear foot, turning your chest slightly upwards. Breathing in, space. Breathing out with awareness. About 3 more breaths here in triangle pose. Now, as you move into half moon pose, another balancing, standing balancing, you might bring your left hand to your left hip and then start to bend your right knee. Look at the floor just in front of your right foot, steadying your gaze. Crawl your right fingertips ahead of your right foot out to the right upper corner. Drag your left foot forward and flexing it, lift the heel towards the height of your hip, turning your chest completely open towards the wide edge of your mat, enabling your left shoulder to stack above the right wrist. You might even raise the left arm if your balance feels pretty steady here in half moon pose. Or if you want to move into a stretch into your quadricep and hip flexor, you could bend your left knee towards your belly and catch the top of your left foot, kicking the left leg back as it was while pulling the foot in order to open the left side of your chest, still drawing the navel towards your spine. Take a few breaths. We'll land in Warrior 2 whenever you feel ready. If you're still in it, draw the right hip crease back towards your lifted foot. How's your breathing? Using these postures also as tools or contexts in which we observe the reactions of the mind, reactions of the breath and body, building awareness of our habits. When you do land in Warrior 2, reverse it. Flip the right palm up and sweep it overhead into Peaceful Warrior. Breathe in, feel the ground beneath your body. Breathe out, feel the open space around. One more breath. Keeping this wide stance, inhale to rise up. Parallel your 2 feet still as wide apart, facing the wide edge of your mat to prepare for a wide-legged forward fold. Here, bend your elbows apart like a cactus and cross your right elbow over the left. Either hook your thumbs or wrap your forearms and palms as we open up the upper back. Press the shoulder blades down your back ribs, lengthening your neck. Lift your elbows to the height of your shoulders and gently press your forearms away from your face. As you breathe in, lift the heart up towards the sky slightly. As you breathe out, hinge from your hips and elongate your spine while folding forward. If it allows more length in your spine or ease in your lower back, bend your knees. If you feel like you're too close to the ground, you can step the feet closer together to have more space to fold deeper. Let's take about 3 more breaths here, focusing on broadening the upper back and loosening the neck by lifting the shoulder bones up away from the neck and dropping the skull. As we also open into the backs of the legs. Now with bent knees, inhale to rise halfway up, lower the right fingertips front and center on the ground, raise the left arm up, and exhale to twist at your waistline facing the front of your mat. Breathe in, stretch the top of your head forward, lengthening your spine parallel to the floor. Breathe out, firm your outer hips to still your lower back while continuing to rotate your rib cage. Feel the reach of your left fingertips towards the sky, encouraging your left collarbone to broaden from the sternum. Let's take 2 more breaths in the spinal twist, helping to release any stagnant energy along the spine and digestion. Now lowering your 2 hands, walk them to the front of your mat again. Pivot to face the front and step up to the top of your mat, forward fold. Letting your feet touch. Inhale, lengthen the spine forward, lift the sternum. Exhale, fold in. Letting the knees touch. Inhale, bend your knees in chair pose and join your hands at your heart for side 2. Flexing your left foot, turn out your left leg from the hip. Cross the ankle over your right thigh, pressing against that thigh to turn out the left. Draw your sitting bones as evenly as you can behind you and down as you firm the belly in and lift the heart, relax the shoulders. Now for just a few more breaths, you could raise the arms, you could lower the hands and begin an arm balance, crossing the left shin on top of both upper arms. Either one, flex your left foot and stabilize your left knee. Just a couple more breaths here. As you root down to your right foot, inhale to rise up, bending the left knee in front of you, level out your 2 hips, stand tall. Keep flexing the left foot. Visualize stepping the left leg very slowly towards the rear of your mat, passing through Warrior 3, where your body is mostly horizontal. Squaring your 2 hips, you might linger in Warrior 3 for a few breaths, or step down softly right away. When you do land the left foot all the way to the rear of your mat, pivot both feet to face the wide edge of your mat. Then from your hips, rotate the legs and pivot to face the back edge of your mat. Now your left foot is your front foot. Triangle pose. Open the arms. Slide your hips towards the front of your mat and reach the left hand past your left knee before setting it down onto your left leg or just to the left side of it. As you turn out your left leg from the hip, see that your left knee, the center of it, and your left middle toe trace the midline of your mat. Tacking your left hip towards the front of your mat, open your chest and turn it slightly towards the sky. Maybe looking up towards the right thumb. Let's take 3 to 4 more breaths in Utthita Trikonasana. With each in-breath, find space within your body. With each out-breath, feel the release, including of any unnecessary tension. Let's take 1 more deep cycle of breath here. As you feel the posture of triangle, know that it's a blueprint for the next posture, half moon. But to make your way there, you might place the right hand on your right hip. Steady your gaze on the ground in front of your left foot. Then bend your left knee and crawl your left fingertips ahead of your left foot, slightly out to the left upper corner. Drag your right foot forward and flexing it, lift the heel towards the height of your hip. Turn your chest completely to face the wide edge of your mat, feeling your two shoulders stack above your left wrist. Breathe expansion. Exhale, feel groundedness. You might raise the right arm if your balance feels pretty stable. You might come into full moon, where you bend the right knee towards your belly to catch hold of the top of your right foot. Then kicking the right leg back towards half moon, you pull the top of the foot, coiling the right side of your chest open, while still connecting to your center and your breath. Now feel how you're lengthening the left side of your torso by tacking your left hip back towards the front edge of your mat. Lengthen the top of your head forward towards the rear edge of your mat. Taking a few more breaths, you decide when you're ready to softly step down to Warrior Two. And when your 2 feet land on the ground, keep your legs in Warrior Two and flip your left palm up and overhead into a side bend, Peaceful Warrior. Breathing space down the left side of your torso and hip. Then keeping the wide stance, inhale, rise up to Warrior Two and straighten both legs. Parallel both feet again to face the wide edge of your mat. Bend your elbows apart like a cactus, and this time cross the left elbow over the right like eagle arms, hooking your thumbs or wrapping your forearms and palms. Slide the shoulder blades down your back ribs, lengthen through your neck. Lift the elbows to the height of your shoulders and gently press your forearms away from your face. Breathe into your upper back. With legs strong, breathe in, tilt your heart upwards. Breathe out, lengthen your spine as you fold downward. Shifting your weight slightly heavier towards the balls of your feet. Now adjust your stance. If it feels like the ground is too close and you want to fold deeper, you can walk the feet closer together or vice versa. You could also bend the knees to allow more release in the spine. Make sure that you're completely releasing your neck. You might softly shake your head just to notice that. Lifting the shoulders up away from the neck. Let's take about 3 more breaths in this version of Prasarita Padottanasana. Now bending your knees a lot, breathe in to lift your spine parallel to the floor. Lower the left hand front and center and raise the right arm towards the sky for a spinal twist. As you breathe in, stretch the top of your head forward, keeping the weight closer to the balls of your feet. Breathing out, firm your outer hips still and rotate your chest to face the front of your mat. Feel the reach of your top hand, your right fingertips towards the sky, encouraging your right collarbone to broaden from the sternum. Softening the shoulders away from your neck. Let's take 2 more deep breaths in the spinal twist. Think of tacking your left hip back if you notice your pelvis trying to rotate with your rib cage. Then lower your 2 hands on the ground and walk them towards the front of your mat, pivoting to a lunge. This time, plant your hands and step back to plank pose, top of a push-up. In plank pose, set your knees on the ground, all fours. Unlike cat-cow, we're going to do a little exercise just to feel a little bit more how we use the lats to stabilize the shoulder blades onto the upper back before we enter some inversions. So focus on your shoulder blades isolating in movement, coming together or retracting, and broadening apart or protracting. as you keep the spine like a straight line by looking at the same spot in front of your hands. If it helps, you might want to watch me first. It's a very subtle motion. It's inhaling, squeeze the shoulder blades close together. Notice the belly stays lifted. Exhaling, spreading the shoulder blades apart. Slightly doming the upper back, but not cat-cow. So try that about 5 or so breaths. Squeezing the shoulder blades together, retraction. Spreading the shoulder blades apart, protraction. All the while maintain the same length in your neck and lift in your belly. Feel your hands rebound your weight off the ground. So the next time you spread the shoulder blades apart, keep that action and lower your elbows to the floor, preparing for forearm plank pose. Whether you want to keep your forearms parallel, palms flat face down, or interlace your fingers and root the outer wrist to the ground. Keep your elbows exactly your shoulders width. Then look towards your thumbs as if there was a string pulling your sternum past them. Tuck your toes and straighten your legs back, firming the heels back. Think of creating a straight line of energy from the crown of your head reaching forward through your tailbone and heels reaching back. Lift the lower belly, lift the sides of your waist, and lengthening your neck, broaden the shoulder blades through the use of your lats. Now stay here for another breath or so, but when you're ready, walk your feet forward to lift your pelvis into dolphin pose, starting our other inversions. When you do arrive in dolphin, you could lift a leg up, pressing your chest back towards your thigh. You can switch legs, keeping your hips squared, flexing the lifted foot. Careful not to let the shoulders roll forward of your elbows. You want to keep them just on top or slightly behind. And then when you're ready to rest, take a few breaths in child's pose. Now, when you enter child's pose, you might want to just relieve your shoulders a bit by resting your arms back and down by your legs. Take just 3 breaths before you enter your inversion again, whether it be dolphin pose, maybe a different variation of it, headstand if you normally practice that, maybe handstand. Perhaps you have a wall nearby if you like to use that for support. So just another minute of your heated inversion practice, which means not shoulder stand, not legs up the wall. We'll save that when we're cooling down. When you decide that you're finished with that inversion, spend a few breaths again in child's pose. We'll meet there. If you want to give your neck a gentle stretch in child's pose, try releasing your arms back and turning one ear to rest on the ground before switching ears. Then from child's pose, stretch your arms forward and slither all the way down to Sphinx pose, lowering your pelvis to the floor with your legs straight back. On your forearms, parallel. And lifting the chest off the floor by having the elbows just slightly in front of your shoulders. Slide your knees close together. Feel your 2 frontal hip bones resting on your mat. Then cross the left forearm in front of your chest and backstroke the right arm as you bend the right knee, catching hold of the big toe side of your right ankle or foot as you open into your right quadricep, hip flexor, and front of your right shoulder. Have your knees no wider apart than your hips distance and reground both of your frontal hip bones in order to support your lower back. As you breathe here a few more cycles, bring your right heel slightly towards the outside of your right hip and continue to press your pubic bone into the ground. Think of lengthening your tailbone towards the space between your knees as you float your heart up, turning your chest to face the front of your mats. Let's take 2 more breaths. At the end of your exhale, gently release the right leg and come back to a normal Sphinx pose with both arms parallel. Lion's breath. Take a deep inhale into your belly, massaging it against the floor. Open your eyes, cross them, mouth wide, stick out your tongue. Second side. Cross the right forearm in front of your chest. Scoot the knees close together, then bend the left knee and backstroke your left arm, catching hold of the inside of your left ankle or foot. With your knees no wider apart than hips distance, ground your 2 frontal hip bones. Bring your left heel slightly to the outside of your left hip, pressing your pubic bone against the earth. Imagine your tailbone seeking the space between your knees. So through that internal intention and action, you're lengthening your lower spine. Feel the support of your right forearm pressing the floor to help you turn your chest forward as you relax both shoulders down. About 2 more breaths. At the end of your exhale, release the left leg straight and lower your forehead on the ground, preparing for 1 more back bend. Now with your knees no wider apart than hips width, point your toes and try to feel every toenail firming into the earth, your pubic bone firming into the earth, your tailbone lengthening towards the space between your knees. Then bring your arms behind your back and interlace your fingers. Try to hug the heels of your palms together. As you breathe in, contract your upper middle back and coil the chest off the floor, looking slightly down as you slide the shoulder heads downward away from the neck. Taking about 5 or more breaths, keep floating the heart up, anchoring the tailbone down. You could stay in bound locust or add on by bending the knees while your chest is lifted and catching hold of your outer feet, kicking the legs towards straight, knees no wider apart than hips width, as you pull your feet, lifting the knees off the floor. Last few breaths, count on your own. Dandasana, bow pose. Expanding your heart space up brightly. When you decide to come down, let everything go. You might like to make a pillow out of your forearms to rest your head. And try some gentle movement of releasing the lower back, like shimmying the hips left and right, or bending the knees and gently dropping both shins side to side. Again, take a deep inhale into your belly. Make any releasing exhale to your mouth. Deep inhale into your belly. Flutter the lips, stick out the tongue, whatever feels good. 1 more. Deep exhalation. Breathe into the belly. Then slide your hands back alongside your lowest ribs. Press up to hands and knees. And from hands and knees, we're going to enter single pigeon pose. So if you want to do it on your back, go ahead and lie on your back and cross the right ankle over your left thigh. Otherwise, slide your right calf across your mat in front of your pelvis and straighten your left leg behind you, tucking the left toes. To start, place your hands alongside your hips and lift your pelvis off the floor to scissor your right hip back your left hip forward until both hips are equally facing forward. Now you'll know here if there's a gap between your right glute and the floor, you could put something in that gap to maintain integrity in the hips as we open them up. Then relax the back toes. You can fold forward. You could add a spinal twist to further open up the upper back. If you're going into the twist, crawl your right fingertips towards the upper right corner of your mat. Bend your right elbow towards the sky. Thread your left arm under your right elbow with a palm face up. Lower the left side of your head on the floor or on a pillow or block. Let's take about 8 breaths here. And begin to make your way onto side 2. If you are in a regular single pigeon, you might want to take a moment on all fours or downward dog to lift that right leg up in the air and maybe shake it out or circle it from the hip, just to encourage blood flow into the hip joint. If you're on your back, you could circle the legs together and apart a few times. So try to enter the same posture on side 2. From hands and knees, if you're going to a regular upright single pigeon, slide the left calf in front of your pelvis on the floor and straighten the right leg behind you, tucking the toes. With your hands alongside your hips, take a moment to lift the hips off the ground and scissor the left hip back, the right hip forward, maybe placing a prop under your left glute. Then relax your right toes and explore the variation you need on this side, whether folding forward or threading the needle by bending the left elbow towards the sky with the left fingertips towards the upper left corner of your mat, and sliding the right arm palm face up under your left bent elbow to rest the right side of your head all the way down. Let's take about 8 breaths. Shining the light of awareness on the parts of your body that perhaps communicate a little bit more here, or even the thought patterns that become more evident. The end of your exhalation, gently lift out of the side. If you were in the upright single pigeon, you might make your way to hands and knees or downward dog and just give your left leg some movement. If you're on your back, you could put both sides together in happy baby. Supine frog, where you splay the knees bent apart, or straddle the legs straight apart, resting your arms on top of your inner thighs. Either of those 3, make sure to ground your tailbone, support the length of your lower back. Now let's come into a cooling inversion of your choice. If you have a wall nearby, you could lie down so your glutes are touching the wall, your back is on the floor, and your legs are completely resting on the wall. Restorative inversion. Otherwise, shoulder stand, if you normally practice that and don't have any injuries in your neck or shoulders. Or the other L-shaped pose without a wall. You could also rest your hands on your stomach, which can feel grounding and soothing. So take a last minute here for a cooling, restful way to lift your legs up higher than your heart. last bit of stimulating blood flow, as well as digestion, as you more deeply relax your nervous system. And while there, you might attempt a cooling breath or pranayama, where you simply count backwards from 5 as you inhale. Count backwards from 7 as you exhale through the mouth. Inhale 5, exhale 7 through the mouth. Finishing your last breath or so in that inversion, unless you're planning to stay in legs at the wall, a supported inversion for corpse pose. Do any last bit of movement to wind down into Shavasana. Maybe a simple supine twist where you stretch the arms apart and drop both knees to one side for a few breaths, and then switch. And as you're ready, mindfully place your body in a comfortable position to be still, facilitating a sense of stillness within. Let go of controlling your breathing. Surrender to this moment as each passes, allowing the natural integration of all that we've efforted to align: your mind, your body, your breath, your inner being. lying here, just feeling your state of mind and body. Begin to slowly move your body, transitioning out of corpse pose. Whether you decide to eventually turn over to your right side in a fetal position, or perhaps draw your knees into your chest and rock and roll forward and back a few times. Find your way up to sit. Pausing for a last 2 minutes in the practice of meditation. Breathing naturally and directing your attention inward. Let's bring the hands together at the heart in this gesture of union and gratitude as we bow in to close the practice. And if you feel comfortable joining me, I can't hear you anyway. Let's end with one chant of Om. Take a deep breath. Light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.